Good morning, everyone. It's Robert from On My Turntable. Hope you're having a great morning this morning. Saturday morning, coffee kind of morning. It's been a couple of coffees this morning for sure. It's kind of dark, kind of dreary out there. Looks like it might snow, but I don't care. I'm off today, off tomorrow. So, other than groceries today and an Amazon delivery that I'm expecting, not much is going to happen, I don't think, anyway. Um, and with this lockdown that we're in the province of Ontario, can't go anywhere anyway. So might as well just stay home, listen to tunes, clean the place, whatever. Walk the doggies. One's sleeping over there, one's still in bed. So normally they're behind me. But anyway, I want to enter a contest, and it seems I just entered a contest for this guy not too long ago. The amazing, wonderful Jeff Whitcher's Vinyl Destination. Amazing guy, really super nice, knowledgeable. I just did his 100 subs contest. Now he's doing a 200 subs appreciation contest. This guy's just flying, and it's well deserved. He's a super guy, really, really nice. And pretty simple contest. Show your first 5 albums that I remember anyway. It's been a couple of years. A few years for sure. This is all, I discovered music mostly in when I was around, I mean good music, 12, 13, 14. So it has been a few years. And none of the albums I'm going to show are originals, unfortunately, because I went through that phase where I stupidly gave everything away or sold everything. Whether there was a time that I went all CD, there was a time I just didn't have any. Yeah. Anyway, you do things. So what I'm going to show are my favorites and my firsts, but not originals, unfortunately. But it just meant I just have newer copies of what I love. So, again, go to Jeff's channel. I'll be putting a link below. Super nice guy, amazing stuff. Lover of Deep Purple, which I'm cool for. I'm sorry I missed your show the other day, Jeff. Work got in the way. But yeah, so I don't know which came first, but I'm going to talk about this one first because I have 2 that I recall that were my firsts. Maybe the one I'm going to show first wasn't the one I actually owned first, but it's the one that got me into music first. I mean good music. I mean classic rock, heavy rock. Back in the day when you were able to visit people, my parents, and I love them dearly, they're always into country music. I mean, their friends all into country music. Around the campfire, they're singing and they're playing country music. That's not my first recognition of music, even though I have a ton of country music that I could show as my first. I didn't own any of the stuff. But one evening, or I don't know if it was an evening or a weekend or a Sunday, we were at the minister's place. They invited us for dinner. So, of course, the parents upstairs, the kids downstairs. The minister's son put on this particular album and introduced me to a whole new world. And I was mind blown ever since. And I still love this album. I think it's one of the greatest albums ever made. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. I mean, I'm still discovering stuff when I listen to it today. And when he put it on, and of course you get that same story where, you know, the minister's son either into drugs or booze or alcohol or whatever. It wasn't like that. It was just a lover of music, and he had a whole collection of stuff. So I remember this one as the first that I listened to. I don't recall it being the first I owned, but this is the first I ever listened to, as far as any. And I didn't even know what progressive rock was back in when I was When did this come out? This came out in 1973, so I was 13 years old. I didn't know what progressive rock was, or heavy metal was, or classic rock was. I just knew this was a cool album, and I've loved it ever since. So that's one. Um, I do recall in this would have been grade 7 or 8, public school. Um, I'm not sure what the Americans call public school, but it's middle school. I guess it's called what they're called. Um, we had a cool music teacher who had allowed us, I think every Friday, to bring albums in and show them off to the class, talk about them, just like we're doing today, only much simpler, obviously. And I remember someone bringing this album in, and I wanted to get it right away. And it's my favorite album of all time, even over the Beatles. And I'm not going to show any Beatles today, but I know every note in this song, every word in this song. It's just an amazing album. It's 1972's Machine Head. This is the very first album I ever had. What an album to get. It's your first album. And it's just remarkable. I mean, you've got Smoke on the Water, that I tried to learn on to play guitar. You've got, and of course I never got it right, but I tried and tried and tried. Even the lead in it, I had the lead down somewhat, but again, I was a kid. I thought I was doing right, but I wore my first album out trying to learn this song actually. But you got this, you got Lazy, you've got Highway Star. All the deep tracks on this one are just remarkable. And yeah, this is my very first album. Of course, this is not the original, as I said earlier, but this is a brand new, clean version of my favorite album. And then I got into these guys because I heard this song on the radio. I said, "Who is this? What is this? I have to get this." And this is 1973 release. Grand Funk were an American band. And the original came with these stickers. So I had stickers all over the place. Again, amazing album. Second album. I mean, just those two alone, or those three alone, are awesome stuff. But then I went on and continued on, and I don't remember which one I got into first, because I saw these album covers and I said, "Ooh, I got to get this one too." Don't forget, I'm 12, 13, 14. When did this one come out? Yeah, so I probably would have been 14 at the time. I think I got into this one first. I think, if I remember, again, that's a couple years ago. I think I get into War Child first. I love this album. I'd stare at the back cover because every picture depicted the song it was representing, especially this little kid in the middle with the machine gun. Like, this just, skating away in the new thin ice of the new day. It's just, I would just stare at this forever. And yeah, awesome album. And then from then, I went on to this one. Again, one of my favorites. This is a Steve Wilson remix. Sounds amazing. And again, today it still stands the test of time. So, War Child was 1974. This is 1971 release. And again, stands up. So that's that's my recollection of. I think um, I think War Child came first, and the cover was kind of creepy to look at back in the day when you were a kid. But again, it had so many little ditties in it, and so much to listen to and discover all these weird noises. Of course, my stereo back then wasn't top notch either. And then next, I went from those guys to this one here, Paranoid. And again, it's one of my favorites by this particular band. I think because it was more commercially successful and more accessible as well as an album. It wasn't heavy like Black Sabbath or some of their other stuff. This was a commercially acceptable and more easier listening, I guess. Even though it was a hard album, it was still something I really got into and dug at the time. And again, weird, funny little leotarded guy with a sword on the front, and but classic album. Still, again, stands the test of time. And then I got into this one, The Doors. I didn't really get any of their other catalogs until later in life. So this was my first introduction. I think because I saw them on television. I don't know if it was Ed Sullivan or Don Kirshner's rock concert. I saw them somewhere. Don Kirshner's rock concert was a huge thing back in when I was a kid. And you'd stay up late to watch Don Kirshner's rock concert. They had all kinds of cool performers. And I think that's where I saw these guys. Or it was on one of those variety shows that we don't see anymore. It's all stupid reality shows now. But they had so many cool variety shows. And I think that's where I get into these guys. And I had to have their album. And this is the album that I chose. And it's one of their best. Just one of their best. It's their debut album. And it's a 1967 release. Now, I wasn't into them when I was 7 years old. But when I was 12, 13, 14, yeah, I get into these guys big time. And finally, this one here, I got it because of the cover, I think, at the time. A little different from the harder edge stuff that I just showed you. But I listened to this thing until I wore it out. And it's amazing. The first song on the album, it's, again, this whole album still stands the test of time. Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. I mean, there's so many amazing songs on this thing. The first song, Funeral for a Friend, and then Love Lies Bleeding, that's just, what an introduction. That's a Stairway to Heaven type of song. And so good. And then Benny and the Jets, classic with the echoes and everything else. Gray Seal. And again, this is the kind of one where you would just stare at the album, listen to the songs, and imagine, because the inner cover was so appealing and so interesting, and it just piqued your imagination. And that's when you would stare at an album for forever. And you don't do that these days. You just don't have time to do that these days. But that's my recollection. Recollection. Sorry, I can't speak this morning. My recollection of that particular album. And those are just some of the few earlier albums that I recall getting. So great concert. I'm going to put Jeff's link below to his channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to his channel. Please like and subscribe my channel as well, because I want to get as many subs as possible. He's catching up to me, so I got to keep going. But no, I'm not. I'm just kidding. He's going to surpass me and so many other people, because he's just amazing. But I'm looking forward to watching everyone's entry into this contest. You're great, Jeff, and keep going. Keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing it right. So hope you guys have a great day. I may do another one a little later on, depending on the day and what's happening. If I get my stuff in, I still want to continue on with my Albums to Discover series. I've got Asia, their famous album Asia, up and ready to go. So I may do that a little later on. And we'll talk to you again soon. I also want to say, yeah, it is. This is my 500th video. And maybe I'll mention that a little later on in my next video. Anyway, take care, guys. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye now.